Evening's meeting to order, please. First item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing, an advisory opinion to the town council, a request to amend the comprehensive plan future land use map from low-density residential to commercial, zoning map from RFR 80 to commercial special, to allow for the installation of a ground-mounted solar array. AP2, Lot 32, 201 Chase Hill Road, Centrica, I hope I have that right, Business Solutions is the applicant. Okay, good thought. So, if I may, just a word on what an advisory opinion to the town council is. So this evening, we're going to hear from the applicant. The issue before us is to render an opinion, positive or otherwise, to the town council with regards to consistency or inconsistency with the town's comprehensive plan. That's the extent of our recommendation to the town council. So I will be advising the applicant to be short on detail. Personally, subject to what my colleagues might have to say, I'm really not interested in drainage, electrical connections, that kind of thing. I'm only interested in consistency with the comprehensive plan. My colleagues want to delve deeper into the application, they can do so, but if you don't hear too many details, that would be the reason why. The time for those details is when the applicant makes their presentation before the town council. So if you're interested in this application, you should follow it throughout its travel, especially when it gets to the town council. Any questions about the structure? Okay.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Stephen, how are you this evening?
Good, and yourself, Mr. Diorio? Thank you.
So you have my word, right? Short on detail. We want to hear all about why you feel this project is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan.
That'll be our focus as well. As Mr. Diorio said, my name is Stephen Serden. I'm with offices at 15 Franklin Street in West Rhode Island, with the law office of George A. Camoli and George sent his regards to the board this evening. We're here concerning a solar project. As many of us are aware, solar has become a big topic here in the town of Hopkinton, and many projects have met a decent amount of opposition here. We believe this project is a little bit different than some of the other projects that have been recently put forth to the town. It is not, we don't believe it's an industrial scale project. It's all located on one lot, and we believe that it needs to be judged accordingly. Our request, as Mr. Diorio said, is to rezone an existing single property that's used as a single-family home and a small family farm to allow for a solar array to be placed there. We are limiting the uses within the commercial special to that of a solar array. Obviously, the applicant here believes we meet the requirements of your comprehensive plan, which is going to be the focus of our presentation here this evening. The existing uses in and around this current property include single-family homes, but also include two-family residences, and other multi-family residences, a boat and outdoor RV storage yard, as well as many people here in town have seen be constructed, a large electrical substation which actually directly abuts the property, as well as three-phase large-scale electrical wires that cross-section another portion of the property. We believe that this project, as I said, is in conformance with your comprehensive plan. In fact, one of the components of your comprehensive plan is to utilize existing infrastructure in the area, which is what this will be doing. It will be linking into the new three-phase wiring, which is a high voltage or high amperage wire electrical system and grid, which has been brought to the site as a result of this substation. We believe that this project will be in conformity with your environmental standards and will not have any detrimental impact on the environment in the area. It will not have any impact on your aquifer in the area. In fact, it will pull little to no water out of your aquifer, as there's going to be no need for water on the site. It is our plan, and our engineer here, Mr. Jason Gold, who's sitting behind me, will go into more detail regarding that we are going to be placing vegetative buffers and doing everything we can to shield this project as much as possible from neighboring properties as well as from any and all roads. The goal would be to minimize, if not eliminate, any and all sightlines of the project. Additionally, one of the other components of your comprehensive plan is that the town council has been instructed or encouraged to look for commercial opportunities in town and to add a new area within the zoning construct for commercial areas. Two of those components being the size of the lot, which we believe that this is not a small lot. The comp plan does not like that to occur on small lots. And we also believe that this is accessible by good roads and good infrastructure, another component of your comp plan when looking for consistency and looking towards this commercial use. We also believe that by limiting this use within the commercial special to a solar facility, it will be in conformity with those surrounding uses that I previously mentioned. This is different than a subdivision or a pre-planned single-family subdivision. There are a number of different uses in the site, or uses around the site, despite the residential zoning that is in place. Accordingly, we believe that, briefly, we will show that it meets the requirements of your comprehensive plan for the zone change. And with that being said, I have a brief overflight of the site, which I think will give everyone a good perspective of the site itself as well as the surrounding uses. And then I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Gold and for his presentation, if I may.
Can you just pause for a second?
So,
So this road here is which road? That's Chase or no, where's Chase?
that road right there is the access road to the large utility substation that you're seeing along the right-hand side of it. And the background there
Yeah.
is, it's not Chase Hill Road. Chase
216?
Hill Road is here.
That's
Yeah,
216?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You took this with the drone?
Yes.
Where's the Dunkin' Donuts?
What about this there? Thank you. I can pull that up later. We get it for reference. Mr. Mayor, if I could turn the floor over to Mr. Gold.
Go ahead, thanks.
Good evening, my name is Jason Gold, civil engineer with the SS Group. It's good to see you again. I don't have a fancy video, I just have a board with a picture on it. I'll walk you through briefly the existing conditions and then shortly what the conceptual proposed project is, as you asked. It's a 23-acre site. As you saw, it's mostly wooded on the northern side of Chase Hill Road. It's right here. There's a single-family home on it and a small family farm as well. It's mostly a wooded property. Surrounding properties, as you saw in the video, is the substation to the east, taken and wooded to the north, and some residential along Chase Hill Road. The site slopes down to the northeast at a pretty moderate, roughly 10% slope, which is nice because you won't need really any grading or much grading at all. Based on desktop review, there's no wetlands on the site. We haven't been out there yet, but nothing on the GIS. GIS shows it located within the natural heritage area. It is located within the Hopkinton sole source aquifer, and the soils are classified as prime farmland. Any questions on the existing conditions?
Natural heritage area, please, more detail.
All we have for now is that, based on the desktop analysis, it's within one. As we go forward, we'll talk to DM and find out more about
So we don't
what it
know,
is.
we don't know anything about what we're protecting or what was
Not
identified
yet.
in that area?
The GIS map just tells you if it's in the area or not.
We have to call them again.
Right, you're gonna call DM and get those details. So that's something, we'll have that information for the design plan.
Thank you.
Oftentimes I find that when you call DM, it turns out that it's, even though it's mapped in the natural heritage area, it turns out it's not actually in the area, so we'll get that information. Here's a conceptual project. It's a 3.3 megawatt DC ground-mounted solar array. The fenced area is approximately 12.6 acres of the 23-acre site. As is typical, the area within the fence will be grass area between the fence and the vegetated buffer. The shade trees will be cleared. The ground cover will remain. Interconnection will be on Chase Hill Road. There's three-phase power already. The concept design is in accordance with the solar ordinance. All the distribution lines within the system will be underground. All the yard setbacks will be met and remain in a vegetated state as required. It'll be surrounded by a minimum 6-foot fence, which is what's required, although typically it turns out to be, it's a 7-foot fence. On the bottom, raised 6 inches above the ground to allow for passage of wildlife. There's no exterior lighting proposed. Panel lights will not exceed 12 feet, which is the maximum allowed by the ordinance. I won't get into stormwater because you asked, but that hasn't been designed. I imagine there'll be 1 or 2 stormwater controls on the southern part of the property. Since it's a concept plan at this stage, that's all we have. When we come back for the design plan review, we'll have permit level design, noise study, decommissioning plan, stormwater plan, solar site control plan, all that. There will be several poles, likely between Chase Hill Road and the site. Those will be, of course, laid out during the design. That's my brief design summary.
Very good.
Happy to take any questions.
Anybody any questions of this expert?
No. Where's the main entry point?
Chase Hill Road.
Right next to the house? Or where's
Yeah,
where's
there's
that?
actually an existing driveway through the house lot, so make use of that.
So you're not going to be connected, as the aerial photo showed, the major power lines going to the back of the lot. So it doesn't matter, you're just going to, the main connection is going to be on Chase.
Right.
Okay.
we welcome any questions the board may have, and also would love to hear, looking forward to hearing comments the public has, and if we can take any reasonable steps to address concerns the public has.
Very good. All right, so planning board, we'll go around the room. So planning board, questions, comments, thoughts?
I'd love to go. I don't really have any questions, guys. Just some comments. So, the town welcomes solar arrays in its manufacturing zones, in its industrial zones, and in its commercial zones. The reason it does so is because a solar array is a manufacturing facility that manufactures electricity. It has absolutely no right to be in a residential zone or neighborhood. That's a gift. So on that one point alone, I can't support your project, and I won't support your project, because this is a family neighborhood. I understand that it's near a national game, woo. Other than that, there's just no redeeming value to this to be in a family neighborhood, and I won't support it. Now, another whole path, we're volunteers, and when you guys want to come before the board, you have to submit a package to the planner's office, and then it's distributed to us. So we count on these because we take time out of our lives and away from our families, and we go through these packages so we can be prepared for the meeting. What you submitted was nothing more than crayon on a napkin. This is absolutely just bush league. I mean, you give us maps that you can't even read. How are we supposed to prepare for tonight's meeting to do that? Your presentation tonight, I know Chairman probably halted it a little bit. His presentation was not very impressive. So the only conclusion I can draw from your horrible submission and your pretty lacking of presentation tonight is I couldn't expect your project to be much better. So I will be supporting this on both levels. I don't have any questions. I don't need to know anymore.
Very good, thank you. Planning board, anything else?
I would, actually, I kind of like the video. So I thought that was good.
I was unimpressed.
I think that was the first time that we've actually seen the property. But I would say though that the vantage point from the folks living around isn't up, it's across. And so just as a point of reference, maybe bringing your drone down a little bit, you know, just to see the vantage point from there. But my other question is so this is, you mentioned it twice, that it was a small family farm. And we do have an ordinance that supports small family farms in order to have them remain in Hopkinton. And so why didn't you pursue that?
One of the requirements of your farm ordinance is filing of a specific type of tax return for farm as a farm designation.
Right.
That was not in place in this. It's an uncommon thing to be done for small farmers and people who are not looking to get some sort of tax deduction from their farming. Most of them in town that have been filed actually lose money each and every year.
Right.
Unfortunately, this property did not have that tax status.
So it's not officially a farm according to the tax rolls of Hopkinton. Is that the way I
According to
that?
DEM's classification, it's not a farm. But
Okay.
there's a horse barn on site. It's historically there have been farm activities at the site. The current owner utilizes it in that manner. And so I call it a family farm because there are farm activities that have gone on the site historically.
Okay, but officially it's not.
It does not have it doesn't meet the requirements of your ordinance. That's
Okay.
how I would phrase it.
Okay. That was my question.
Does
The other
it meet
members
the
of the
requirements of anybody's ordinance?
Actually, say that again, sir?
I was just wondering if
Whoa, 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 whoa.
it was a farm of any of them.
Sorry.
We'll get to you, don't worry. Planning board, anything else?
Tom said it perfectly for me, so thank you. For me, the biggest stumbling block is the change in zoning. As Tom said, we have places to put these things. And in the neighborhood, I don't know, to change the zoning like that, And if it's the will of the town and the will of the town council, then so be it. But personally, to change the zoning to put a commercial facility in a neighborhood that's residential, just kind of goes against my grain.
Actually, Ron, I have one more question. About the house would stay?
The house would stay at this point in time. It's something that your zoning official and I are continuing to discuss the nature of how that would go forward.
So you would then have a residential house within a commercial zone?
Yes,
Is that the intent?
that would be one option, yes.
Amy, I apologize, I thought you were done.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I just thought of it when you were speaking. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
It came in after.
Sorry, Ron.
Not a problem at all.
And I would again, continue to point out that while it isn't a residential zone, there are neighboring commercial uses directly and indirectly abutting this property.
I live on Route 3, but I don't expect the trailer trucks to come up my driveway. You know, existing properties, I mean, that's something that's before I was on the board. You know, I agree, it's right next to the National Grid transfer station, substation, whatever you want to call it, which is very handy, that's good. But there again, it's still a residential zone.
I'm acknowledging it's a residential zone. I'm not arguing with that. I'm simply stating that while it is a residential zone, there are other uses in and around the area that are currently other than residences.
Okay.
Duly noted. So let's go around the rest of the room. Jim, anything from the planning?
I just want to follow up with what Amy said about the two uses on the one parcel there. I'd like to hear some more from our zoning official, how they view something like this. Would they, if the proposed zone change was to go forth like is proposed, would that render the home a non-conforming use, or I'd like to see how they interpret that. So,
Good, anything else?
Nothing from a conservation perspective on this one that has not been brought up.
From the solicitor?
Nothing.
Very good. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard on this application this evening? I see this hand right here. Come forward, speak to us.
Hello. Evening. Hi neighbors, friends.
Name for the record.
I'm Jim Sharenza. I own this piece of property on Chase Hill. I'm here before you tonight because, of one and only reason, I've got a $24 million substation in my backyard that was in an RF80 zone, and nothing got switched. I tried to fight this in the beginning, but I was put down. I hear a lot of talk nowadays about, keep Hopkinton country, keep Hopkinton rural. My family, we run a horse farm up the road, 125 acres of rural Hopkinton. We still make hay on the property. I'm trying to clean up my property down there. And I made a couple fields for myself and my two children and my horses. I'll make this brief, sir. That's kind of rural. And to have it taken away and have a substation stuck on it without any concern to my property value or anything else like that, I'm kind of upset. That's the only reason I'm even thinking about solar, is so I can kind of maybe reap some losses back. I mean, I can't even put houses in back there now, guys. I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen the substation, seen the size of wires, or 800,000 volts that goes through it, I don't know. But I know the presentation really wasn't up to my par either. And I was hoping it was a little bit smoother. I just want you to consider where I'm coming from, and the only reason I'm here is because of the trouble that I was put in, Thanks.
So it was taken by eminent domain, that part?
No, it wasn't taken, it was just clear cut to my property line.
Oh, I see, so it wasn't your property originally?
No,
Okay, all right.
it butts me, and they
Okay.
clear cut 8 acres right to my side property and built a substation. I didn't sign up for that when I bought my 25 acres of rural Hopkinton. You know, I mean, I made the fields that I have with my children and my horses. I mean, like I said, I'm not looking to industrialize the world either, and I had no intention of it. But I just wanted to know where I was coming from. As far as I know, the electrical connections are going to be either at the substation or in the power lines in the rear of the property. That was mistaken.
Okay.
You know, I know that was a question you had.
Yeah.
I think it was answered wrong. That's about it. Thanks.
Okay, we appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, sir. So this is next.
Joe Moreau, Depot Road. I read the letter dated January 4th, and there were a couple of key points I thought were on that letter. It was mentioned tonight that this property is located entirely within a primary protected zone, wellhead protected area. It's also within the natural heritage, as mentioned. And the letter mentions that portions of this property are prime farmland. When you look at the 12.9 for the project out of 23.3, that's 55% of that property for this potential project. One of the points or issues I have is, Amy brought it up as well as other people, there's a house on this property, and we're trying to change it from residential to special commercial, when there's a house there. That's an issue. This is one of 5 apps that's proposed. It doesn't matter if it's a small project or a large project. It's still residential property. As this gentleman, I feel bad for the positions he's in with the power company. He bought residential with the understanding that it would be remaining residential, and so did his abutting neighbors. So that's one point. It was mentioned that there's 2 comp plan points that were brought up. I'd like to mention land use goal 1, to protect the quality of life and rural character of Hopkinton. Land use goal 4, to preserve existing working farms, wildlife, and wildlife habitat. Housing goal 1, Hopkinton will be characterized by safe, secure, and attractive residential neighborhoods. This project does none of that. It really doesn't do any of those things at all. And the last point I want to make is that with these developers that have these proposed projects, I want to let them know that they're in for a long fight. They really are. The residents of Hopkinton have said enough is enough. If you look at the Woodville Alton Old Depot project, 288 residents signed a petition. Brushy Brook, 606 residents. Skunk Hill, which is in the process, 216 residents. Atlantic Solar, 162 residents signed a petition against solar. There's a GoFundMe page where we've raised so far $22,000 for attorney fees that represent us. So I'd like to recommend, I'm against this project obviously, and I'd like to save the landowner, the attorney, a lot of work, a lot of expense, because we're going to fight this. As you said, it will go to the town council, and we will be opposed to that. Brushy Brook was recently defeated, as well as Woodville Alton. And I want to thank the planning board for their adverse opinions on those 2 projects. It went to the town council, and we still fought that for months. As an example for the developer, Old Depot Road went on for 5 months. I don't know if they're prepared to go the long haul. We are. We will fight residential to commercial. If it's 12 acres, if it's 12,000 acres, we're going to fight it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
My name is Clifford Hale, and Emily Shinshani and I bought the house at 211 Chase Silver Road, so we're immediately adjacent to this. And So we lived there for about 5 years. We moved in 2014 before they actually started building the substation. And we came out this way because we like the country here again. At the time, we didn't realize that the substation was going in, but it happened, and now we see the substation moving what's there. The part that concerns me is just the scale of this and how close it's even going to come out to our property, and the amount of just construction and the disruption that that's actually going to have, not only to us, but the people in the area. And one of the bigger issues that actually worries me that was pointed out tonight was it kept referring to the existing substation as validation to put in the solar farm. And that seems kind of funny to me because that wasn't there before. And so where does that stop? If the solar station, if the solar farm goes in, then the next person is going to come in and say, well, there's a solar farm here already. So that's troubling, not just from our perspective as living next to this, but I think it's how we approach management of the property in Hopkinton and as we characterize and zone these properties, is that if we're going to refer to smaller existing industrial businesses like the boat storage area, you barely even see that. It's all tucked in behind, I think it's the Verdex that have that. It's all tucked in behind. You hardly know it, but it's being cited now as other kind of industrial or commercial property adjacent to the solar farm. And so that's troubling to me and just worries me about using that sort of example in the future. So that's all.
Very good, thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Ted Diamond. I'm in a butter to the west side of this project. I've been here about 50 years, a little over 50 years. I take a lot of pride in my property. It's all me. This solar plant will really hurt us badly. If the proposal goes through, I will be able to see the substation. When the substation was allowed to go into the town of Hopkinton, Barbara Capella, I think she's sitting here now, she said, it's not going to go in the green field, we're going to put it in the woods if we're going to put it in there. Thank you, Barbara, for putting it in the woods, because it's out of sight for everybody in town. It's a good fit. If this project goes through, I'm going to see it, so are a lot of other people in town. That project is about 700 feet parallel to the Chase Hill Road. And maybe not 700 feet will be visible to the substation, but a whole lot of it will be. Probably more like 400 or 500. I'm dead against it. I'll do everything in my power to prevent it. Thank you for your time. This is from a property on Chase Hill. I'm delivering it, but it couldn't be here.
So I'm getting a hand delivery.
Is it legal or illegal? I mean,
We don't deal in legality. So here it is, I'll read it into the record for you. It's dated March 5th, 2019, Hopkinton Planning Board, Town Hall, Hopkinton, Rhode Island. Wendell A. Crothers, property location 217 Chase Hill Road, Hopkinton, Rhode Island. To whom it may concern. I am the current owner of 217 Chase Hill Road, Hopkinton, Rhode Island. Please accept this letter as my formal rejection of the proposed solar farm at 201 Chase Hill Road. Yours truly, Wendell Crothers, if I have that correct.
yeah, it's,
For the record.
thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Nikki Brill Scott, and my property abuts the project. I live on property that was bought by my grandmother in 1942, and so I've been there a long time. I've been there over 50 years. I really didn't understand the presentation with the drone. I've walked those woods my whole life, and I don't feel it was a good representation of the plan at all. I just want to go on record for saying that. I want to go on record for saying that I oppose this project. I oppose a lot about solar. I'm not going to get long-winded. I do want to say, I'm an environmentalist. From that standpoint alone, we don't know enough about it. But the biggest part of all is that we live in a residential area, and if you zone it commercial, you won't be doing the right thing. People live in residential rural areas in Hopkinton because that's where they want to live. They chose to live there. We didn't choose to have that be commercial. I've lived there my whole life because it's been quality living, healthy quality living, healthy air, healthy water, healthy animals. So I'm asking you to just put it on record that myself and my family, we are opposed to this project. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Yes, sir.
Jeff Light, 43 Forest Glen Drive. I'd like to take the opportunity to share in the landowner's situation, and it's unfortunate that he's there, and I can respect his opinion. I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize the attorneys for showing up tonight and doing their best to represent their proposal. I think that the town planning board here has been very consistent, very cautious, and very diligent. And I'd like to thank them for remaining true to the comprehensive plan and rezoning for the sake of rezoning with all of these things that have not been researched, let alone, but just sticking to the facts and keeping it simple. And rezoning from residential with or without houses and stores and these other things, I think we're good the way we are here. And that's what the community looks toward, the continued support of this planning board to continue for all of the residents of Hopkinton. So thank you all.
Anyone else wishing to be heard on this application tonight? I saw that hand first.
Good evening, my name is Reggie Mikowski, and I am a trustee of a trust that holds land that abuts the property. And this may be a little early in the conversation, and if it is, I will wait for the town council hearing. But my concerns and what was not addressed this evening is what are the long-term impacts on the comprehensive plan? This is a small project. Solar is inefficient as it exists today. 5 years, 10 years down the road, the efficiencies will increase. They will walk away from the project. And then what happens with regard to restoration of that property back to its natural state? Who pays for it? What are the impacts to the town? And I don't know what that includes in the comprehensive plan, if that's been addressed, but those are definitely concerns that I have that were not raised this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. With all due respect, so the applicant, I'm sure, would be prepared to address those elements. Most of the applicants that come before us are prepared to address those. I dare say that that will be done at the town council meeting. So if you're looking for answers to those questions, make sure you're in those seats at that time. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Sorry, don't bring me.
that stings. Carolyn Light, 43 Forest Glen Drive. I'm answering a question. Search Google, National Heritage Area. Official location where pieces of political, military, cultural, or social history have been preserved due to their cultural heritage. Really is a definition. I just wanted to answer that part for you now because I don't think we can wait. I'll dig into it further and let you know. The other comment I wanted to make isn't necessarily about this particular project. It's about, it meets the comprehensive plan. We've heard that a lot over the last several months that I've been coming to meetings. It supports your comprehensive plan this way, that way, that way. One of these days, one of these developers is come in and it's going to say, this is how we can enhance your comprehensive plan. That's what I'm shooting for. Okay, infringing on residential rights and et cetera, we've beat that drum, we've heard that story before. That's what I'm looking for, is for somebody to come in and say, we're going to enhance your comprehensive plan. Hopefully one of these days we'll see that happen, right? Thanks, guys.
Very good, thank you.
Come on, woohoo!
So just to be clear, I'm pretty I understand what a natural heritage area is. That really wasn't my question.
Oh.
So the natural heritage area means that somewhere on this site or in the vicinity, DEM has found something of significance. A salamander, a butterfly, a flower. And those assets need to be protected. That's what a natural heritage area is in Rhode Island. And so the applicant was unable to answer what specifically was special about this site that it warranted natural heritage protection. That's really what I was getting at. But thank you for your clarification.
Thank you for clarifying, because I'm going to look into that with you.
You call DEM and they'll tell you all about it. Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard on this application? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Dana Nugent, and I live on property that's abutting the proposed zoning change. And I moved here to Ashaway on Chase Hill Road about 23 years ago from the bustling metropolis of Westley. I wanted to get into a more urban area, and I found that this area along Chase Hill Road was a great place to live, and it's given me a great quality of life, and I appreciate that. I think this zoning change would change the quality of my life immensely and everything, and I'm against this proposal. Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Okay, very good. Oh, I see a hand. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Michael Grills. I live at 135 Chase Hill Road. I also have a piece of property that somewhat abuts this project. I'm against it. Nothing against Jim and his family. They're good neighbors. They've been really good neighbors. But it could be anybody. It's wrong. It's wrong to change the zoning there. I've lived on Chase Hill Road for probably 150 years or so. And I like to think as long as I last here, I'm trying to keep that rural feeling on that road myself. And I feel bad for the predicament that Jim is in, but I'm completely against this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Carol DeRosiers. I really feel bad for the property owner, but I do think that how he feels about the substation is how everybody is feeling about the potential of a solar array near their properties. And what bothers me is that it's out of alignment with our new solar ordinance. So I don't know when that new solar ordinance really kicks in and people start to pay attention to it. But, you know, for me, it's in place, and why isn't that what everybody is following? The other thing I wonder, excuse me, is how did the property get selected? You know, because this developer has multiple sites around the town, did he go out and solicit, or did you go looking to? You did. That was just one of my questions. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. So I can only answer one of the questions, which is, why isn't this application following the new ordinance, right?
Right.
So there were a number of there were a number of applications that were received before the new solar ordinance was put into effect. And while I disagree with the opinion, the tact is that if an application was made before the enactment of the ordinance, they get to follow the old rules. So those are the rules of the game, if you will. Hope that answers your question. Okay, we done? Okay. See no more hands.
If I could briefly conclude, Mr. Chairman. Again, I would simply state that the applicant does believe that the project meets some of the requirements and some of the goals of your comprehensive plan. In fact, within your comprehensive plan and in the residential component regarding land use, there is a thought to future development and redevelopment. It specifically says that the development should take into account infrastructure, natural, surrounding and natural and built environments. And in this case, yeah, that's one of the reasons that we're focusing on the infrastructure. That's one of the reasons that we're focusing on the surrounding neighborhood and the built environment of multiple families, multiple unit residences on single lots, as well as abutting commercial, two abutting commercial uses. So that is our focus. And we did stay away from specific site conditions and specific parameters of the project here this evening. But I would go as far as to say that the project will be buffered significantly from Chase Hill Road, in excess of 100 feet, and the entirety of the project will have vegetative buffers surrounding it as well.
Okay, very good, thank you for the wrap. Okay, planning board. Close the hearing.
One question to ask Jim. So, Jim, under our farm viability ordinance, a 23-acre property would be allowed to have how much solar? 5?
If, well, it depends if they're an intermediate or a large farm, and that would be judged on how much gross income.
It's based on farm income.
On income, it's not on...
Which they don't have.
Okay.
They don't
You have to
qualify.
file a certain form. Pay taxes every year. To legitimize yourself as a farmer. Now, ordinance, I believe, says if you have 5,000 in farm income, you can have an acre. So if you have 10,000 in income, you can have 2 acres. If you have 50,000.
So it's not based upon size then?
Well, I
thought it was size.
think there's a size component.
Size of the farm.
Size of the
Now,
farm.
again, how you define an intermediate farm is by the gross revenue that they have. Gross revenue.
All right.
And so it's either, it's 2,500 for the last 2 years, okay? Or if you're a large farm, you need $10,000 of gross income. So if you are an intermediate or large farm, as we define it in our ordinance, you can do 1 acre if you're intermediate, and 2 acres if you're large.
And so there's no way that you could justify that as being a large or intermediate farm, sir? Mr. Shirley?
No.
No? Okay. So I guess I was just considering, would there be a way to somehow change the scale of the project to provide some relief? Because I think the intention of the farm viability, and I know Tom hates it, the farm viability, but the intention is for applicants like this who need some relief on their farms, keep their farms afloat.
Intrinsically, I completely agree.
Right.
In reality, the developer's making the money, and the poor farmer has to look at this for the next 25 years for a couple $1,000s a year. It's not helping the family. And I'm speaking from experience. Ma'am, back there, I can respond to your question on how the solar developers become in touch with this land. What they do is they send in their representatives to the town, and for some reason Hopkinton's in their crosshairs and has been for the past 2 years. I've been very fortunate, like the Grills, multi-generational family in Hopkinton. My family goes back a couple hundred years as well. I live on a large piece of property. It's swamp and rocks, and let the deer and the antelope play. My house is on it. Been very fortunate, my kids are going to be able to build their houses on it too. During the heart of this, I was receiving 10 solicitations a week. It's dropped down to 3 or 4 a month now. So in the past 18 months, I've been approached at least 50 or 60 times. They show up, they knock on your door, they fly drones over your property to look at it, they do the GPS surveys, and I've been in the construction industry for a little over 40 years. And I have never, ever seen the level of development potential that these guys bring. It's mind-boggling, it's staggering. And they could care less about me, they could care less about my property, and they could care less about our town. They want to line their pockets, and they want to line their developers' pockets with the tax incentives and the tax relief that they're getting. And I don't blame them. I'm an entrepreneur. I believe in capitalism, but not on my back. Close.
Motion.
Second.
Second. Further discussion?
Aye.
All in favor? Okay, so if someone is inclined to put together a motion for us, I'd go ahead and entertain that.
I would like to make a motion that the planning board does not support the recommendation to change this property to commercial in the zoning map from RFR 80 to commercial special within the map, or to change the zone. Correct. Thank you both. Okay, all right. And to support the recommendation, I would like to state from the Town of Hopkinton 2016 Comprehensive Plan, Goal Natural Resource 1, to preserve, conserve, and protect the significant natural resources of Hopkinton as an endowment for the future of the town. I believe that this doesn't meet that goal. Additionally, I believe that this project does not meet Goal Land Use 1 to protect the quality of life and rural character of Hopkinton. And finally, this request does not agree with the future land use map in terms of possible development where Hopkinton would like to see us go.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? There you have it.
Thank you, Chairman.
We're here for you. We're here for you. Good job, sorry.
If I could have your attention, please. We still have an agenda to get through, so if you're before us, stay. If you're not, take a seat. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, old business. None. New business. Development plan review. Pre-application meeting. Campiago Improvement Plan. AP 16 Lot 27. 61 Campiago Road, Rhode Island, Boy Scouts of America, Campiago applicant. John, how are you this evening?
Good, Al. How are you? Good evening, folks. My name is John Patrick Walsh. I'm a registered architect here in Rhode Island, and I apologize if my voice sounds a little funny. I've had some tooth work done, so. I am here to represent the ongoing projects, I guess I should say, proposed up at the Boy Scout camp. And with me tonight, I have Brandon Blanchard from PAR Engineering, and also Mark Carden from the Boy Scouts Rhode Island, right? Yeah. So basically, let me just kind of give you a summary of what's happening. The Boy Scout camp, I'm sure you're all familiar with, was actually established in the early 1900s. I believe it was around 1916. Many of the buildings up there, the dining halls and such, were built in the 1920s. And a lot of the cabins and other things have been built over the years. Basically what's happening, folks, is everything's reaching its lifetime, okay? So a couple of years ago, before I got involved with the project, the Boy Scouts did hire somebody to do a design for a small shower facility that was built. It went through the town building and zoning department. I don't believe it came before planning. And then last year, I designed the building that you see right here that went before. It's a shower. It's basically a small shower facility, and it's down at the 3 Points site. And it's basically individual shower stalls. It's concrete block building, about but it's done to rusticated. I think in your packages you get a better idea of it. This color version of this photograph that you can actually see. It's a rusticated block and basically just the kind of shower units, in keeping very much with the kind of camp look that's up there with the scouts. You know, all rough sawn columns and stuff like that. So this building was constructed, it's been permitted, not permitted, been given a CO, and it's operational. There was a new septic system, or OWTS system designed and approved that went through DEM. Everything's fine, it's all tied in. Brenda can speak to that a little bit more once I'm finished. So I wanted to show you this because this kind of started the discussion with the town. The next project that we're proposing up there is to do another shower house up at the, well actually, let me go step back one. The next project that we're proposing is to actually, they've already demolished an existing staff cabin. And this building is small, it's like about 500 to 600 square feet. They've demoed that, and what they want to do is build a new staff cabin, ADA compliant facility building, on the same site, exactly where the other one was. So they demoed, and we've already submitted for the building permit on this. And to build this. This is a little kit house. It's a kit cabin that they buy. They have another one up on the site right now. And that's pretty much what it looks like from the outside. These are drawings provided by Northeastern Log Homes, who manufactures this. So this project's very, very small. It's replacing an existing building that's been torn down. This is the new shower, and this is actually a shower and toilet facility, all ADA compliant. It's proposed to be put up at the Sandy Beach site, and I'll let Brandon walk you through these different sites where they are. And we have gone through the process with DEM to get DEM approval on the septic system. What's happening at this site is they are going to decommission the existing shower facility that's up there. They're going to turn that into another staff cabin and laundry area. So this is another new building. It will be keeping in the same architectural style as the one I showed you earlier, but this is a more significant structure. So hence we came in, we were talking to Mr. Lampier, the planner, about this. And we also were talking to him, let me just show you that. So. This is the exterior. This is the front view of that shower facility. This is the back view that faces into the woods and into another campground that the scouts have. And then from the sides, sorry, this is tricky. From the sides, that's what it looks like from each side, west and east sides. It's very low. We're trying to keep the profile of these low. We don't want these buildings big. We want them to kind of sit down into the camp and become almost like background buildings. The final project that they're proposing up there, and this is what really started the discussion with, this is the building, the existing shower facility that's being converted over to just staff cabins. I put that in your package so you could see what's happening here. These were former shower building, and this is just going to become open now with staff cabin, and the laundry that's there will remain. Pretty much stays the same with just some windows. But this is what really started the discussion for us with the town. And that is, these are not my drawings, these are from the national headquarters, from the Boy Scouts. These are concept plans of what they intend to do down at the 3 Points site. Right now at 3 Points there's a large dining hall, and the building was built in 1929, I believe, 24. And it's seen better days. And it's unfortunate, but it's time that it was taken down. The new facilities should all be handicap accessible. This will provide for that. It will provide for a better and safer environment for the scouts that are using it, and also provides for some staff space on the upper floor. This is what really brought me in to talk to the town planner and the building official. Was we were looking at this, and I said, boy, this is kind of a big building. So we went in, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, why weren't you coming in on the other projects? And it was sort of like, well, we weren't told that we had to come in. When we went to building and zoning, everybody said, oh, well, since you're kind of redoing what's there, just keep going. So Jim suggested that we come before you, and I guess what I'd like to find out tonight is, how far do you want us to go with this? I mean, all these buildings are being built within the campground itself. They're not visible to the public, and really in that area is not, like, there's no neighbors like what we just heard next door that are overlooking these properties. There's quite a bit of forest and stuff up in that area. The buildings are going to be in keeping with what the camp has currently. The goal is not to really expand the camp or to bring more scouts there per se. It's to upgrade the infrastructure that they have and to provide for a better environment for the scouts. So what I'd like to find out is, can we get permission, or do we have to go through an entire planning board review, a detailed review of all these projects? Or with the smaller projects, can we get permission to just go forward with those based on what they've been doing up there traditionally? Or do you need us to go through everything with every project? Am I saying this right, Jim?
No, you're doing good.
Yeah. So, we're kind of like this right now. And it wasn't like we were trying to get anything by anybody, or we're trying to be sneaky or anything like that. It had nothing to do with that. It was just that when these buildings were initially designed, even before I got on board, they came to the town, they got a building permit, everybody said, sprinkled it with holy water or whatever, and said, go on your way. And then as I got more involved in the project, we started talking to Jim, talking to your new building official. And by the way, I'm very happy to hear that Hopkinton now is a full-time building official back then. And they suggested we come before you. So I don't know if there's more information you want about the buildings. I can talk about that. I can have Brendan speak to the site, or Mark can speak to you about the scouts and their long-term goals or objectives here.
Good. Let me jump in.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for my colleagues. I'll let them chime in individually.
Yep.
My take on this would be, I think I saw in my packet, there's a master plan, yes?
Yes.
So given the rather unique nature of the site, we don't have too many of these in town, I would be thinking that there would be a master plan approved by the board. Perhaps it delineates phases depending on your eventual construction build-out. And once the master plan is approved by the planning board, I'd be perfectly comfortable in delegating the rest of the review to the planning department.
Okay.
I don't think this is the kind of project that, other than the master plan idea, so that we know where the pieces of the puzzle fit,
Okay.
I'm not sure that this requires planning board overview. But let's hear from that would be my 2 cents.
I think I agree mostly with Al. I'm a little old school, love Boy Scout camp, always have, and if it ain't broken, don't fix it. In other words, if you've been going to the town for your building permits, you've been getting the proper inspections, electrical, plumbing, safety, etc. If DEM's doing its thing, I don't need to see it.
Okay, good to see you.
I would agree 100% with Tom.
Okay.
And pretty much without. The Boy Scouts have been doing a good job for, what, 160 years?
Yeah.
And you go through all the state and federal regulations, everything is built according to the building standards. To drag it out any more than we absolutely have to, somebody's got to pay for dragging it out. Attorneys, engineers, whatever.
Right.
I don't know who funds the Boy Scouts, but somebody is. And like I said, anything that goes along with keeping our young people focused in a proper way, go for it.
How far from the master plan are we, Jim?
Well, I would suggest to you that they've given us a master plan in your packet. That's pretty much what I advise the applicant to provide, is that we want to see a master plan of all your improvements. They've given it to you.
If you want, right now, I can have Brandon show you that.
Yeah,
Walk
we'll
us
take
right
that
through.
in a minute, but let's agree on a strategy first.
Okay.
So by master plan, you understand that I was referring to what they have, not our master plan.
Well, that's what I was just clarifying. So, right, because to me, our master plan would require a lot
No,
more.
that's not what
Okay,
I'm-
But
that's
so,
not what I'm
what we're referring to is our existing documents as your master plan for the Boy Scouts. Yeah. Okay, I was just clarifying. Their overview of where we're going.
That was my.
Okay.
Not to continue to pick on the previous applicant, but you provided more information on one page. in your entire application.
Thank you.
I do like the new designs with the individual shower stalls. I myself have never been a group shower kind of person, so I like that. That was nice. So.
I don't know if you're taking showers, I'm going to
I think that's nice. I think it's good. So,
Well, they're kind of trying to build these to be, shall I say, a little bit more bulletproof. The old ones were plywood and pine, and these are concrete block, and they're built.
Are they? May I ask a detailed question? So, is it heated or is it just a cold?
No. Oh, the showers are heated. The hot and
They have
cold
hot water. Yeah.
They have hot and cold water.
Yeah.
They have to by code. But they are not heated buildings. So the buildings are not they're basically used from June until mid-August.
I was just curious because I camped down in Charlestown and they're supposedly heated, but it's really not.
Yeah.
No matter how many quarters you put in there, it's still not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they don't have to put quarters. So they're going to talk about how we limit the hot water too.
Water doesn't come until at least.
Yes, I'm sorry. All right, I don't need to be off topic.
Anything else? All right, so how about if we do this? How about if you give us just a brief.
I just have a question.
Okay, sure.
This is an easy question. So the Boy Scouts of America are now bringing in girls, so I really appreciate the showers also being separate. Is that something so that the girls will be part of the island now as well?
You know what? I will defer to Mark. Let me
I
do
wasn't
this.
going to go there because I thought it was too political. But
We all thought that.
Let me deal with the building first. We'll let Brandon talk about the master plan, then we'll let Mark talk about what's happening with the girls and how they see the camp
We want to know that.
Huh?
So we want to know that?
Yeah, well,
All right, so
I think there are people here that care.
very briefly, master plan
Yep.
of your, restated your overview of the improvements.
Okay.
Just have a quick look at that.
Okay. Here we go.
So, I'm Brandon Blanchard, I'm from Park Corporation, and I've been involved with work out at Yagu Scout Reservation since 2005. And traditionally, a lot of our work that PAR has provided has been on-site wastewater treatment. So over the years, the Boy Scouts have upgraded their on-site wastewater treatment systems. They've built 3 new leach fields from 2007, 2008, and then 2017. Large conventional flow diffuser leach fields. They're off this page, they're to the northeast of what we see here. And then as Jim mentioned, as the Scouts have continued to look at the site and looked at operational improvements and the life of some of their existing facilities and looking to make those upgrades. They've started to replace those or are in the process of it. So to give you some perspective of what we're seeing here, coming in here is Camp Yago Road from Route 138. As you enter the camp, this is the major kind of administrative area. Buckland Memorial, the kind of admin facility, is right here. Straight through that is what we refer to as the 3 Point Campground. And then to the north of that is the Medicine-Bow Campground. And then further north of that is the Sandy Beach Campground. And those are the 3 main camping areas that are at the site. The project, the dining hall that we're proposing is for 3 Point. It's the Sharp Lodge now. It's the 3 Point dining hall. The shower facility that you saw that has been constructed is also for 3 Point down here. And then the one that's proposed now is up here for Sandy Beach. One thing I wanted to clarify on the number of campers, not only is this not intended to increase the number of campers, there's no projected, proposed, or planned increase. All of the existing facilities and future facilities have been designed for the same number of campers. The number of campers are driven by the specific camping facilities they have, not the dining facilities, not the shower facilities, but the actual campsites they have, and the number of camp counselors, I believe, and the number of campers they can physically take in. So none of these projects would actually change that. So any of the on-site wastewater treatment system improvements over the years have kind of stayed to that model. All of these projects, anything that is needed, any kind of OWTS permitting, has gone through the RIDEM, including the proposed shower facility. That has already been given approval from the OWTS. So I would agree that this figure here does not meet a master plan as probably in the regulations. I would call it more of an overview site plan, as I think you've mentioned. And this shows some of the sites. Why it's referred to as a master plan is we are actually looking at potentially doing a master plan for the Scouts. To be honest with you, it's sort of a working plan. They've come up with some concepts that they want to propose and they want to advance, and that's why they're in front of you here today, to sort of advance those. We've kept it sort of lean and to the point and not trying to spend any more money or effort than we need, but we want to make sure that we're planning this and doing the right thing by the town and by the site. So this sort of is more of an overview of the recent projects and here really the most significant project that they'll undertake in that new dining hall. So if there's any questions about this or anything at the site.
Very good, thank you.
Just very quickly with buildings, just to go back on this. The new cabin that was knocked down and they want to replace is right here. They basically would like to get that started right now. The new shower facility up here, which I just showed you, again, that's in with the building department right now for permit. They'd like to get that started. But the goal is to get this building and this building completed by June of this year. Then start the dining hall facility, if they can, August, September of this year, and have that complete by next June. The natural science building here, they were going to put a front porch on it, just ignore that. We're not doing that project anymore. They got the budget on the front porch and said, no, we're not doing that. So, form follows financing. So.
Okay, anything else to add?
You want to hear from Mark, from the Boy Scouts? Yeah, you should.
What are you going to tell us? Mark, what are you going to tell us? Whatever you want.
There was a question about the women.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Showers.
Tell us It's all good.
I'll keep this brief. My name is Mark Cardin. I'm with the Narragansett Council of Boy Scouts of America. Happy to stay after to answer any programmatic questions about the Boy Scouts. As the young lady mentioned, we are welcoming females into the scouting program, but that's not necessarily a new thing. We've had female program in the Boy Scouts of America since the early 1970s with our exploring program. the Police Explorer program. That focuses on job development. At Camp Yaga, we'll be welcoming young ladies as campers in girl-only troops. So the Boy Scouts aren't co-ed. Maybe you've seen that in the news. It's not co-ed. There are troops for boys and troops for girls, and we'll welcome troops for girls this summer. We've had females on staff for 40 some odd years, so it's not a boys club. It hasn't been for a long time. So I'm happy to answer any other specific questions if you have any, or afterwards. Happy to talk about that all evening.
Very good, thank you.
So it's sustainable?
Yes.
The boy, it's growing, it's not?
Yeah, we had a slight increase of campers last year. I think we had about 5,800 young people camp at Yaga last summer. Our overall capacity is closer to 7,000. So we're not adding capacity. There's plenty of capacity there to allow to welcome young ladies in.
Okay, there you have it. So, I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
I'm glad the Boy Scouts are here, and I'm delighted to hear about the accessibility to the building in the camp. You had mentioned that one of the buildings you're going to repurpose to include a laundry facility, and I'm just, what's the scale of that laundry facility? Because with the number of campers here, that could be a commercial laundry facility which would have effluent concerns all over it. So,
No, the laundry facility, it actually, there are several laundry facilities that exist at the camp right now. They are not for the campers. They are for the staff, okay? And the laundry facility that's there is, I think it's 4 washing machines and 4 dryers in the new one. It's not very big. And it's going to be a staff cabin. So the existing shower facility at Sandy Beach gets converted to just laundry facility for the staff and a staff cabin. And that's it. And that's all been designed to and looked at with our DEM and approved.
Thank you. Okay, planning board members. So can I just summarize my thoughts? You can feel free to channel for it. I'd like to see the applicant do what is required by our regulation, Jim, but no more. So in other words, I'm with Ron that this is an activity that I completely support. Not because it's a personal thing, but I see no reason to burden the applicant with undue expense. That said, everybody has to play by the rules. So personally, I'm prepared to turn this whole thing over to your office and let you deem what's necessary as the applicant goes forward. It's my take. I'll hear the other members and how they'd like to proceed.
I agree. I think the fact that they're not changing the footprint at all the buildings are on existing footprints, the scope of the camp isn't changing. So I would be amenable to doing that as well.
no changes to what they're doing, just improving what they have.
How good?
So, in summary, they're not going to come back and see us again.
Correct.
Correct. Jim will handle it. Are you okay with it?
Yes.
So then, just help me over the logistic hurdle. This is a pre-application for development plan review. How do we move them from where they are today to where they need to be following the outline that we just discussed?
I would say very simply, you have one of 3 choices to make, and the simplest choice is, now that you've seen the presentation, you can tell the applicant that they need not come back to the planning board for any further review. And everything will be handled by the building and zoning department. I mean, it's a pretty simple, in my view, it's pretty simple. There's no off-site impacts to the general public. They're not increasing the capacity. They're making improvements to the property.
Co-abutting property owners.
And everything that they do out there is going to be inspected by our new building official in accordance with all codes and regulations. I wouldn't know what purpose to bring these people back to the planning board for.
Okay, very good, thank you.
So we just have
I'll
to...
entertain a motion.
Public?
Oh, public, I'm sorry. Thank you. Go for it. Anyone
I'm in
wish to be
favor.
heard?
Go for it.
Come on, Joe.
Here, here.
What's that?
You must have something to say, Joe.
It's a good
No,
thing.
he's, they're not talking solar?
It's not a solar field up there to the right behind the,
There are panels on the roof of the building.
And I hope you have lots of young ladies.
But don't call them female. I would just say, I would suggest calling them ladies. Girls would be okay. Alright, so
Entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that the planning board is going to waive development plan review, finding that the impacts of the proposed use are too minimal to warrant further review.
Very good, I have a motion. I have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you all very much for that.
Thanks, George.
Now that we've got this behind us, I do have a question. It doesn't relate to, and it's back to this thing. Who pays for this?
So we, a number of different donors, the Champion Foundation is a donor, we have an anonymous donor that's written on a big check, we have an alumni association that donates, it's money every year, we have an endowment that donates, so it's kind of a lot of different pots. So we raise as we go, we don't go into debt, we don't borrow money, so we don't do anything until we have a fund, so. We try to be, Scout is 50, supposed to be different with the Scout law, we try to be very.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again. Okay, moving forward. Solicitor's report.
No report.
No report. Cleaner's report. No report. Correspondence and updates. Public comment.
You guys do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, the date of the next meeting is April 3rd, if that's okay with everyone.
I'm busy that night.